Everyone, welcome to another Random Talk Sunday, and today I thought it'd be interesting to address a concept that I think is sort of um, true to everyone and sort of applies to uh, everyone as far as the way in which they acquire their various tastes and things, um, and that has to do with guilty pleasures. Now, um, the interesting thing about guilty pleasures is that they can apply in a more specific sense. Like, for example, a lot of people do this with entertainment as far as uh, talking about their guilty pleasures. Like, they'll say, I like this one particular thing, even though I know that one particular thing is not of the best quality or is the best of whatever that thing is that you're trying to talk about, or whatever that thing really is classified under. And what's also interesting about guilty pleasures is when it's applied in a more general sense, it can be based upon things like health and whether or not you take certain precautions in certain areas or things like that. Um, those things can, I think, be also be put under the banner of guilty pleasures. And obviously, guilty pleasures can be completely harmless, or sometimes they maybe can be uh, somewhat detrimental to your existence, depending on what the guilty pleasure really is. Um, and I think it's almost safe to say that as far as the guilty pleasures go that are not damaging the person per se, um, like for example, things within entertainment, for example, uh, that I don't really think do cause really any real trauma. Um, uh, I think it's definitely safe to say that I think it's somewhat healthy to have those kinds of um, uh, desires. In other words, I think it makes sense that people have certain guilty pleasures for various things. Um, and that may or may not be good for you depending. And I think it's all really relative. Um, I mean, sometimes people will say, hey, I like reality TV, even though I don't think it's the best form of entertainment, I'll still find some enjoyment out of it. Um, or hey, I have a sweet tooth, I mean, I like to do this, um, even though it may or may not be harming my health or whatnot. It's kind of it's kind of like a thing where you have to kind of pick and choose. You have to kind of realize, okay, should I really be wasting my time doing this guilty pleasure or getting involved in um, really exploring this guilty pleasure that I have, or is it something that just completely doesn't really affect me all too much, or really impacts my understanding of the world or my um, way in which I go about myself or whatnot. I think it's definitely interesting uh, to have these kinds of uh, inclinations to want to explore things that are maybe not necessarily that good, or uh, that high of a standard. And I think it's just one of those things where I think it's part of sort of being human. I think it's sort of human nature to have these kinds of guilty pleasures, to have vices within ourselves, to have these things that we kind of indulge ourselves in. And I think it's all about whether or not you let those indulgences kind of control you, or if you go beyond those impulses. Um, and I think that's really the key, really, at the end of the day. And I think that's really what brings about uh, your progress and your way of thinking, is to just see the guilty pleasures for what they are and enjoy them. And I think it's okay to have these kinds of tendencies. I don't think you can really get rid of them. I mean, it'd be nice to get rid of some of them that are very harmful to uh, people's health and whatnot. But at the same time, I think indulgences, at least slightly, isn't going to, I think, harm really anybody or really cause any detrimental damage. It's not like somebody watches a Kardashian episode and suddenly that person is, um, gonna behave like Kim Kardashian, or be like that, be have that life like they have in whatever television show or whatever movie that they watch. I mean, I think really people will always tend to like what they like, and I think it's more so I like to see the person for what they are, as opposed to uh, what their likes and dislikes are. I think, and whether what kind of guilty pleasures they do have. I think that's really more of the question that I think is more so the one that should be explored, rather than whether or not they have guilty pleasures. And I will definitely say I'm a guilty pleasurer. I guilty pleasure myself, not all the time, but sometimes. um, and I enjoy certain things, maybe more so than what other people enjoy, but I still get some enjoyment out of it, even if it's maybe not as funny to some people or as enjoyable to some people, or if they find is not as entertaining or engaging or interesting. And I mean, I indulge myself into some junk food every now and again, and I do all of the things that humans do still too, like exercising and eating right as well. So I think it's really how much you let the guilty pleasure kind of control you, and how much of it you really indulge, and what kinds of guilty pleasures you indulge in. So there's a lot of different aspects that I think really go into this whole concept. And I think it's really interesting, and I think it's okay, and I don't think it's wrong to have these kinds of guilty pleasures. I think it's all right to kind of have your own sets of enjoyment, even if maybe nobody else in the world has that same enjoyment that you get out of it. Um, and again, as long as I think the guilty pleasure doesn't harm anybody else or anything, it is what it is. And I think it's just something um, that's just a part of human nature almost. And I don't think it's something that you can kind of get rid of. I think it's more so something that we can just kind of acknowledge and just try to do for the better, and at the same time uh, acknowledge the guilty pleasures that we have, or at least say, yeah, I indulge in X, Y, and Z every now and again. But hey, I'm human, and I'm sure you've got the same things that or the same idea that I have, as far as, having a guilty pleasure or pleasures. But I think that's really all I can say, though. If there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. I'd be more than happy to hear what guilty pleasures you have in any particular area. It would be more than interesting to hear what everybody else has to say. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you on the next video.